Gilbert.
Here.
Mr. Detzel.
Here.
Mrs. Detzel. Here. Mr. Teesort.
Here.
Mr. Yoshimar.
Here. Okay, that moves us to 3.1, adoption of superintendent consent items.
So the superintendent recommends that the board approve the consent items to move into and address each consent item individually.
Okay. We have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second. Great. Everybody in agreement to move forward with you, Carol? Okay.
For personnel items, we have 6 resignations, 16 initial appointments. We do have on there a job description. It is revised for the parent mentor. That is a role that we've had in the district for quite a while. It's through a grant, and our parent mentor left mid-year this year, and we used the remaining funds from that grant to engage in a collaborative process with stakeholders to really understand the needs of the position so we could modify the job description to make sure that we are using those grant funds to meet the needs of the position as described by our stakeholders. And then the last thing on there is the approval of the superintendent contract.
Okay.
With that, the superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the adoption of the superintendent personnel consent items as listed.
So moved. Great. Second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments?
So are we voting on all 3 of these?
No, just the personnel items.
Just the,
Yeah.
okay.
Then we'll go to 3.2, or point 3.3, sorry. Passes 5-0. So, congratulations, Darrell Yetter. The board has vetted the process for looking for a superintendent. We did an outside search, external search. We got 9 applicants. We interviewed 3. From that process, the board reconvened after the interviews and discussed the opportunities, and Darrell came out light years ahead of the other candidates that interviewed. The board is behind you 100%. We're looking forward to the new season of Northwest Local. Feel free, anybody to chime in?
I just want to say congratulations, very well deserved. And I know one of the issues that we're hearing over and over from the community is diversity, and I feel very confident there is no one more than Darrell that diversity is a #1 priority. That along with many, many other things. And 20 years in the district, and I know you've got great plans for the future, and very excited, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to add congratulations, and I'd like to add that my vote took into consideration many things, including the staff survey, our discussion that the board had with our building leadership, phone calls from the community, people that I've run into at Kroger and the fireworks, and for example, and I think that Darrell checks off so many of the boxes of what people are looking for in our next superintendent, and I think he's going to be instrumental, and you'll see in the next, he's listed in himself what he plans to do in the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, and I'm very excited to see the changes that he's going to be instrumental going forward as our next superintendent.
And I also want to congratulate you, and second what Pam and Matt have already said. And like I told these guys, I knew a year ago you'd be the superintendent, so I could see that coming down the road. And we have big things for the district, and I can't wait to see how you implement them all. Thank you.
I just want to say Congratulations, Daryl. The thing is, we've got to turn this district around with their attitudes and, just the parents and the kids. So, you got a tough job ahead of you. So let's start off on a good foot and keep going at it.
Thank you for choosing me. It means more to me than any of you will ever know. Coming to this district over 20 years ago as a middle school English language arts teacher at White Oak, I never dreamed that this is where I would end up in this district. I thought I would retire from the classroom because I just loved being around the kids. But the district has provided me multitudes of opportunities that I just couldn't say no to, that continue to challenge me to grow. And the fact that you guys support me as being the next superintendent is exciting and humbling, and I appreciate the support and acknowledge the challenges, but also the rewards that we're going to reap. When I think about the work ahead of us, it is about embodying what you guys have adopted as our strategic plan, the focus on student achievement, being able to make sure that every child in our district realizes the academic potential that they have, sometimes not even realizing the potential that's there until we bring it out of them, that we continue to focus on making sure every kid has barriers removed so that they are prepared to learn and are able to achieve at those high levels, and that we continue to acknowledge the uniqueness of each child and each family and the richness of the diversity they bring to us, and that we continue to make a place where they all feel like they belong and that they're valued, and that we continue to make sure that we provide our staff as well as our students and our families the things that they need, when they need it, how they need it, in order to achieve the success that we know is out there. And my bottom line is that we will not stop until every staff member can say, as I do right now, to be a proud member of the Northwest Local School District, that our parents are proud to say they send their children to one of our schools, and our graduates are proud to say that they are graduating from a Northwest Local high school. That's my commitment, not only to you, but to our staff, to our parents, to our kids, and to our community. And so I am excited, I am ready, and I cannot wait to get this journey started. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate this and how much it means to me.
Can you share a little bit of your plan, your 30, 60, 90 plan?
Yeah, so a lot of it is around engagement. I want to make sure that we continue to have opportunities for people to be engaged. You guys heard in May and June from all of our staff of the year. I want to sit down with each one of them and listen to what they have to say about what makes Northwest a great place for them and what we can do to make sure it's great for everyone. I want to make sure that we have two-way communication and that we have a group of community champions who are not necessarily connected to the district, but are voices in the community who amplify and elevate what's happening in this district so that our good news and the work that we're doing gets out there, that we continue to engage with our staff to make sure that we are supporting their needs, and that we continue on a rotating basis to make sure that we are all visible, that we are there, and that our staff see us as in it with them, and that we continue to walk side by side in that journey. So not just me, but all of our administrators working side by side with our building administrators, with our staff, to make sure that we understand the needs and we can address them and we can move forward as a cohesive group.
Anything else? The one thing I really enjoyed through this process is we did have one special meeting where we invited all the administrators from all the buildings, and I believe all but two, maybe?
Yeah, 2 or 3, something like that.
Something like that?
22 of the 25, I think.
22
Yeah,
to
and they were on
25.
vacation.
Yes, and
Totally
nothing toward the ones that were
Totally
here. I mean,
understood,
we
right.
were blown away at how many showed up, and it was a great opportunity for people to speak. I was very impressed with the comments and everything. So I felt through this process with the staff survey, with the executive session, with the administrators, we did get quite a bit of feedback. And then we had multiple individuals call on their own, which to me is a litmus of health, in a sense that they felt comfortable to call the board and share that, which I you guys know me, I encourage that. We can't, there's no way, we don't work 40 hours in the district, or we don't have all the ins and outs of everything that goes on, so we do need people's feedback. So, like Matt was saying, when you put all this stuff together, the scale fell very heavily in Daryl's favor.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Now, on the more exciting news, vendor contracts.
So we do have several vendor contracts. We do have a contract for Hamilton County Educational Service Center, and that is for some of our instructional coaches. It's part of our ESSER plan to make sure that we have the support for our staff necessary so that we can meet the challenges that are in front of us. So that contract is on there. The children's home is tuition for students who are placed there. The Attorney General is not because we're in trouble at all, but there is a change happening with WebCheck. So all of our background checks that run through the HR office, they're moving away from one vendor and moving to another. So that one's being sunset, so we have to move to a different one. And then the last one on there is Walker Educational Solutions. As you know, we looked for a human resources director, not knowing the direction the board was going to go and what was going to happen. And to be fiscally responsible, we didn't want to double up on a position. So we actually are contracting with a retired HR professional who has worked many years in the educational realm, retired as a vice president of human resources for Great Oaks, and has come out of retirement for Mason as well as Mount Healthy to help them in a transition where they needed some support in the HR office. So Michelle Means Walker is that person. She is an amazing talent, and we are lucky to have her. So that is on here as well. And I'll make sure that you guys get one of her resumes so you can see the immense amount of talent that we are getting in this district.
Thank you.
And she's just here for a year,
Yes.
and then you'll put,
We will reevaluate the
Where we're at
next year, and
next
we will make decisions about what we're going to look for in the spring.
gotcha.
And then in that process, that she's here and she has so much talent, is there anybody that, like we talked maybe a week or so ago, and you talked about you had this mentoring program at the AO for people interested. Would this be an opportunity to bring somebody that might be interested in HR
Yeah.
underneath her wing so that they can start?
Yeah, we've been
Yeah.
working with our building administrators that if they have an interest in a central office position, that they could connect with and basically work alongside that person, going to meetings, doing projects, really learning the ins and outs of that, so that if an opportunity did present itself, they really knew what they were getting into when they moved into a role similar to that. We've had people who have shadowed Brenda, who have shadowed Amy, who have shadowed me in HR, so to give them a sense of what that position really looks like. And we will continue to honor that for people who are interested in those experiences.
Should that be part of like an administrator's orientation that they spend some time, or is it part of their onboarding as an administrator that they spend a period of time with our HR leadership?
All of our administrators do spend time with, because there's so many ins and outs to HR and legal do's and don'ts.
Right.
We do coach a lot of them around that, but it's about how to understand the human resources as it has implication into their current position, not as a global level. Once they get settled into their current role and they're looking for that next step, that's when we start to have people shadow and do work like that.
Great.
Because for people that out there that thinks that anybody that works in HR could move into a school district role, there's a lot of difference as far as school law. That
There is-
isn't in the
Yeah.
everyday.
There's an entire section of Ohio Revised Code 3313 that is nothing but school-related law. A lot of that is HR, not all of it, but it is uniquely different than other HR roles in the corporate world.
I need a second, a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Okay, passes 5-0. And next is 3.4, resolution to award contract for Struble pedestrian bridge.
So this is a resolution expressing an intent to award a construction contract for the pedestrian bridge improvements that we did talk about at the last meeting, and authorizing the president and the treasurer to enter into the said contract upon compliance with all conditions in the contract documents. Before we get to the actual motion, Chris, do you want to add any context to the bridge project?
Yeah, I just want you to realize that the lowest bid was 10% lower than the average, which requires us to perform an interview. So the engineer did conduct an interview with the lowest person and felt confident that they could perform the job as specified.
Boy, that's kind of nice that it went that direction. It usually goes the other direction.
Yeah, correct.
Hopefully it doesn't turn into the Colerain baseball project where they dug down and found like another city underneath the washaway. So that ended up costing us
A lot more.
a lot more than was to be expected.
So the superintendent recommends the Board of Education hereby accept the recommendation of the construction manager and award the base bid and any alternates for the project to the lowest responsible bidder in compliance with section 3313.46A6 of Ohio Revised Code, and any other authorizing provisions of law contingent upon compliance with all conditions precedent to contract execution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. When will this start, do you think?
We'll have a meeting with the contractor and we'll see when we can get him started, but obviously as soon as possible.
So right now, there is no timeline, just, okay. Any idea how long it'll take?
No, not until they start.
Not till they, okay.
They are to be completed by October. But like I said, hopefully we can get them started. They're anxious to get started.
Sure.
So we'll get them started as soon as possible, and then we'll take a look at the timeline to see if they can accelerate the timeline.
Was that bridge named after anybody?
Not that I'm aware of. A lot of these bridges, we've got several throughout the district, whether it be a bridge or just a walkway in between houses. A lot of those were installed during the construction or development of the neighborhoods and was passed along by the developer. So to the best of my knowledge, there's no name to any of the walk
So
bridges.
I'm speaking for me, not the other four, but we had an incredibly dedicated lady who was our safety officer that watched the kids. And unfortunately, she passed last year. And I would like to throw the idea out of possibly naming the bridge after her.
She was at safety at First Drupal?
She's a volunteer.
She was a volunteer.
It's a volunteer, no, you talking
Oh,
about
the
Debbie? Talking about
lady
Debbie?
would come
Yeah,
to the
yes.
board meetings, had the blonde hair?
No,
Right.
no, he's talking about Debbie Pence.
Yeah,
Who
the crossing guard.
was a crossing guard at Memory and Banning, and then I think
And
for a
we'll
time.
talk about
Memory
the
and-
process that we use to
John
go
Rose.
through that.
Right.
So we can talk about that process,
Yeah.
looks like to go through
Just
that.
an idea. Okay, that vote passed 5-0. And that leads us into adjourning the meeting. Any comments from anybody? Congratulations.
Thanks.
Tell you, my old boss used to tell me, proceed into apprehended.
Full steam ahead.
Whoa.
I need a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We're all done. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us with the meeting. And